Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do my first movie review and it's going to be of The Conjuring 2. So I went and saw this last night. I know in Australia it's now been out for a week, possibly longer in the US. But last week the movie I went and saw was TMNT. Not going to do a review on that. First part cringy, second part alright, but yeah, for now I'm going to stick to The Conjuring 2, so if you'd like to see what my thoughts were on that, please keep watching. So once again, joining me is my trusty Carlo ring mug, this time full of coffee. I'm in a little bit of a rush, I'm not going to lie, I have to go to work in about 20 minutes, so I'm sorry if this seems rushed. It is my first on-camera movie review. I've done them before on Metacritic, but yeah, not on camera before, so please be gentle. So first off, I'd like to say that I don't handle horror well. The first time I watched Nightmare on Elm Street with Ben, I had to sleep with the light on for a month. But yeah, anyway, so The Conjuring is directed by James Wan. He did the first Conjuring movie, which I watched just after it came out. The only reason I actually managed to survive that was because I watched it on a day international flight, so it didn't bother me at all. There were no things to go bump in the night on the plane, so that was fine. And once again stars Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga as Ed and Lorraine Warren, the paranormal investigators. This film is once again set in the 1970s, creepy, haunted house. I think the only thing that kept me from being entirely scared throughout the movie was the large amount of popcorn that I had. That was my comfort for the movie and I ate that pretty quick. In saying that, this movie isn't entirely scary as such. There are a few things, so a couple of almost jump scares, but you can kind of sense that they're coming anyway. So it's not entirely scary, just kind of get this constant tingle up your spine the whole time you're watching the movie. So the only reason I went and saw it was because I was lured in by how much I enjoyed the first one. If you're not a huge horror fan, you can still go and watch this because it is a very good film. Besides, like I said, being slightly scary, it's a very good film and I'll get into that in a moment. Alright, so basically, like I said, it's set in a haunted house, 1970s, based on the Hodgins family. There's the mum and the 4 siblings. The main girl through the movie, the one that's haunted the most, her name is Janet. Basically it starts off with normal kind of paranormal activity, sleepwalking, things that go bump in the night, but you don't really get a full sense of what it is that's haunting the house. They do tease that very well, similar to the first one, and you don't actually get to see like a physical spirit or demon till a fair way through the film. I will say now, I think I was going to say it a bit later, but the actual kind of physicalization of the demons and the spirits is something that's thrown me from both movies. I was quite disappointed with it in the end of the first one. I was happy that I'd got so far through, and then once I'd seen, I think it's a witch, like a spirit in the end of that movie, that completely took me out of the movie. I did not enjoy the CGI for that character at all, but I'll touch base on it a little bit more as we go through, but don't expect too much in the sense of seeing true horror characters. So I'm sure everyone knows who the scary kind of protagonist is of this movie. To me, it looks like a super scary version of Marilyn Manson, aka The Nun, in this movie. And it's just been announced a few days ago as well that The Nun is having its own spin-off movie, just like Annabelle did from the first movie. I'm not entirely sure how well that's going to go, but you know, people love horror movies. People love crappy horror movies. I'm sure it'll do well at the box office. Alright, in terms of the story, I think it is quite average, but I found what interested me the most and gave me cheeky little smiles through the movie because I was having such a great time were the little moments that helped push the story along into each kind of arc of the story, what was happening, whether it was that first tease of a creepy hand coming down and grabbing Janet, or things you've seen in the trailer or when you first get to see the nun. There's a scene set in the Warrens' house with the daughter as well that is quite intense, quite scary, and not to give too much away, but basically the daughter is sitting there and you see something pass by in the background. You know, it's not intentionally like scary in itself, but when you're like, yes, something's coming, this is going to be awesome, and it was quite a great scene. There's a picture of the nun and the nun. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that, and like I said, that scene doesn't actually have like a physical form of that entity in it, which I think makes it much more enjoyable than having the nun right there doing creepy shit. And in saying the story is average, but there are amazing moments in it, there are also bits not so much cringeworthy, but predictable. For example, there's a scene where the mum says to one of the boys, "Don't eat too many cookies or you'll have to get up in the night," and you're like, damn, that boy's going to get up in the night and something scary is going to happen. And once you've seen his tent that's set up in their hallway, the whole scene pretty much unravels from there. But, you know, as predictable as it is, it kind of has twists and turns where you're not sure what's going to happen. So it kind of turns it around, but there are quite a few moments like that in the film which you might find a little bit off-putting. Right, so as much as some of the characters are cringy, some of the like B characters, I guess, you know, they're not the main characters. They're not the family. They're not the Warrens. Just some of the other side characters, not very strong. I don't think they entirely need to be. But besides from that, I like to touch base on the soundtrack. Now, film scores are something that really get me excited. I'm not a huge music person, but the only music I really do listen to are film soundtracks. I find the kind of classical element of them really enjoyable, but also that kind of emotional connection, I guess, you get to the film. This has quite creepy sound effects going on in it, great original music, but also the use of the 70s music. Really just kind of puts you in this fun mood. There's scenes where they just start, you know, pumping the really popular music of the late 60s and the 70s, and that's just really fun. It's kind of got a nice juxtaposition to being scared out of your wits for the rest of the movie. But also there's a scene where Ed Warren picks up a guitar. That's just a really great, lovely scene. Listening to him. The use of Elvis Presley is also quite clever. It's really quite fun and just kind of keeps the movie going. It doesn't take itself too seriously. So one of the smaller highlights of the movie for me was a specific use of CGI around a completely new and kind of background character that almost looked like stop motion. It was intentionally made to look like stop motion, and it really made me excited when I was in the theatre. It kind of looked like it was something straight out of Coraline. If you've seen maybe bits of the film, you would definitely know what I'm talking about, which character it would be. But it's really just far left from the rest of the film and the majority of other horror films, especially recent ones that have been coming out. And that just gave me a little grin in the film, and I thought, yes, this is awesome. This is completely different to where I thought this movie was going. It's a very clever use of CGI. You don't really feel like it is CGI. It definitely looks stop motion animated. So yeah, while the nun just kind of looks like a creepy Marilyn Manson with a terrible CGI mouth, this character I loved. I just thought it was really cool. It's only in there for a few moments. It's teased kind of throughout the movie and then thrown in there at the end. But definitely something that I thought stood out from the movie. And while there are other really clever uses of angles and like blurring filter kind of things through the movie, this was definitely something that put it apart from other movies that have been coming out. And in saying that I really enjoyed it, I can also see it being something that other audience members might not enjoy. I know I went alone on a Friday night to a really busy session, and the whole cinema was full of teenagers behind me who were screaming and scared the whole movie, but when that scene happened, they found it hilarious. So I think if you're trying to take the film too seriously, then you might not enjoy it, and it is maybe something you might laugh at, but I definitely found it as a really good bit of film. Alrighty, so after successfully surviving the entire movie without being too scared except for 1 or 2 scenes, and just kind of putting my hand in my popcorn and pretending I wasn't scared, once it got to the ending, I was a little bit disappointed. It did feel a bit weak. I mean, you could pretty much see where it was going, and I know that it's only based on a true story and the events in the film are different to what happened in real life. And while the ending was weak, the use of actual real life facts from their paranormal investigations through the 70s really kind of helped put into play what happened, and I think that kind of strengthened it because they can't follow entirely what happens. Not that I've researched it or anything, just read a couple of things, seen a few things. But yeah, while the story itself and the ending aren't quite entirely strong, the bits that make it there or turn it around to the way that it does end are really quite clever. When she finds the demon's name, not gonna give anything away there, but if you've seen the movie, you can see that coming. Demon's name, not a spoiler. But yeah, I really did enjoy this movie. I didn't think that I would. I was quite scared to go alone, especially. Don't ask why, but yeah, to see a horror movie by myself, I think The Conjuring is actually a really good film. It's not super horror, but then I don't know, I don't watch a lot of horror movies. But for me to say that I enjoyed it, I would kind of rate it not on the super scary end, but I guess it depends where you're coming from. So yeah, that's my review on The Conjuring. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was a great movie, a bit iffy in some points, but some moments and characters spot on. Big thumbs up. If you enjoyed my movie review, please leave a comment below and like this video so I can continue to do them. It would really mean a lot to me if you could subscribe to my channel. Thanks guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!